Welcome to VHS Bros. Today we're going to be discussing the new release, Evil Dead Burn, which is the 6th installment in the Evil Dead franchise. We both just watched it this past Tuesday and are ready to dive into our thoughts. We'll divide the video into 3 general categories. First the positives, and the mixed, and then the negatives. Then we'll give our final closing thoughts. So for you, Darren, what were your biggest positives?
I feel like the movie looks really nice. The effects, like, of course, I don't know any behind the scenes, but I would assume it's a mix of practical and CGI. That's probably like what most people do now.
Yeah.
And it looks nice. Very heavy cuts in the beginning, like the very fast paced in the beginning was pretty nice. Pretty cool. Like had some cool cutaways, some cool editing and some cinematography in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty nice looking movie, which is probably why a French man directed it. Stanisic or
Those
whatever
French
his name
people know how to make things look pretty. I loved what they did with the camera. I know there's an extended shot in the middle of the movie where some crazy stuff is going down and you just slowly follow the main character. You have another really cool scene where there's this big fight breaking out, and then in the middle of it you find out that was the mirror reflection because they smashed into the mirror. I know, as a film nerd, like, I was geeking out.
Did you like the slow motion stuff?
Yes.
I think it did good with it in the sense of, like, didn't use it too much.
They didn't use it to the Zack Snyder extreme of slow motion.
That's why I think it's tacky, because of Zack Snyder.
I really enjoyed the pacing of this film. So the first half hour or so is kind of a more slow burn setup. Mm-hmm. Where you're introduced to the characters, you're introduced to the family and the dynamics that they have. Even before we got to the Deadite stuff, I thought they had some really interesting dynamics going on. But then once the Deadite action starts, it does not let up. It is just relentlessly, like, insane thing after insane thing. There's no, like, breathing room.
But even that whole part till they were at the club and they showed the characters that you're going to be, like, following, all of that was actually super fast-paced. Like, the first 5 minutes or whatever. It almost felt like you're going, like, 100 miles per hour.
Yep. Another positive for me is I enjoyed the general story, so it didn't stray too far from the typical Evil Dead template. It mixed it up just enough. The overall story felt pretty good about. It's not the greatest story within the Evil Dead universe, but like, it was totally good for what I want out of an Evil Dead movie. I quite enjoyed the gore in this movie. I think this is easily the goriest of the Evil Dead movies. It's nowhere near Terrifier level or anything like that, but there are definitely several scenes where it's kind of hard to watch because of how graphic the violence gets. I enjoyed the creativity with that as well as the execution of those scenes. I enjoyed the thematic through line of the movie. The last couple of Evil Dead movies, Deadites have been metaphors for stuff like the Fede Alvarez film. Deadites were a metaphor for addiction. Evil Dead Rise is a metaphor for motherhood. This one was a metaphor for toxic family relationships. I thought that thematic through line was well done and kept me engaged.
I feel like I was kind of mixed with some of the character, like the main character.
The individual characters I felt mixed on. So while I enjoyed the thematic through line for her, I didn't feel like she was particularly charismatic or interesting, but outside of just wanting to see her overcome that flaw. At the end, she has a moment where the Deadite appears as her husband alive, and he says, "I love you," and she says, "That's not enough," and then shoves him into the vat of tar. It's meant to showcase that she is willing to distance herself from relationships that are damaging and unhealthy.
I feel like maybe they should have put more time into the relationship, because you're only shown the scene where she was abused, the arguing in the beginning, footage of their wedding scene, but it's just like footage where no dialogue happens. Like a very quick way that shows that it's a terrible marriage, because it's like all they show is them fighting. They never show them in a good way other than like footage of a wedding, which is not you can't base anything from that. It's just no dialogue and nothing, so you can't really, so you never see them have a good relationship, and so that's kind of like, so it's kind of like too much unknown. Was he though really abusive? Because all they show is the burning of the water. Like, is there more? Was he beating her up like a lot? We don't really know.
Get the impression that if he's not physically abusive regularly, he's at least
mentally,
emotionally
and
and
also,
verbally abusive.
and also they like clearly she doesn't want to be a mother and he wants to have kids.
So,
The
like-
relationship 101, talk about that before you get married. I think both of them have a lot of
Troubling
flaws.
things. Yes,
I
of
think
course.
I don't think Alice is like completely innocent enough. And I don't think Will is obviously without blame either. And obviously you don't see that much about relationships. So you
Right.
only really see like Alice's side. So that's kind of also like another thing too. Because as a married man,
You would have rather they spent more time on showing
Or-
the marriage.
or even, you know what, like I almost I was talking to my wife about the movie and she was like, maybe they should like, and she hasn't seen this movie. Maybe they should have like had the husband go through like the whole thing and have the wife die first. And I was almost like thinking like, you know, and have the husband go through all this hell as a punishment. Like,
What do you mean?
like him be alive. The Alice died in the beginning, and like him going through his family all dying and stuff. And I would have been like, I kind of feel like, yeah, that kind of would have been kind of cool actually, because then it's like
If he was, would he still?
he
be
would have,
abusive
yeah,
in
like
that
he
case?
would have been the main character, but going through
Oh.
hell. And like, but it also at the end though, I guess the ending also wouldn't have, because she survives at the end, of course. It almost would have been like a Silent Hill.
That would have fundamentally been a very different type of story then.
Oh yeah, the themes would be different. I probably would have liked that one, but I mean that's besides the point, right? But like,
It's just a matter of personal preference. at
yeah,
that
exactly.
point.
It's a completely different theme.
It'd be more like Hellraiser.
Exactly, like Hellraiser or Silent Hill or something. I guess that was kind of like my opinions with the theming of it. Probably would have preferred to see more about the relationship.
My biggest negative, personally, was especially in the third act. It felt very reminiscent of a couple other recent horror films that have come out. Final Destination Bloodlines and Ready or Not. Because both of those also deal heavily with ideas of family relationships, breaking free of toxic connections. And especially the final scene of this movie felt almost copy and pasted from Ready or Not, just the way it plays out and the way the dialogue is. I wish they had found a way to create a final scene that felt more distinct, because the way they play out now, all I could think of was those other films that have already done it. Aside from that, the film stands on its own two legs really well, but there are just a couple of scenes, namely the final one, that felt a little too reminiscent of others. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It's not my favorite Evil Dead movie by any means, but it's not the worst. Probably somewhere in the middle of the pack for me.
The
I'd give
worst
this.
is Evil Dead 2. Just kidding.
That's my least favorite. I don't think it's bad. Stop bashing me. I would give this film probably an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel like for me it was just more a little more middle of the road. But if I would do with that grading scale, yeah, 6. I'd say 6. Like it's not like I dislike it. I wouldn't be in a rush to watch it again, and I don't see myself watching it again except for like some special
Yeah.
reason.
So you enjoyed it, but you're not gonna rewatch it anytime soon.
Yeah, like unless somehow like my wife, which she doesn't really like this type of movies, but unless she was like, I want to watch this, I wouldn't be like, no, but which she won't because she doesn't like these type of movies anyways. But
Sure.
or if like you hadn't seen it and I was gonna watch it with
Sure.
you, like I do
So
that.
if you had a reason to, yeah.
But I wouldn't watch it on my
Not for
own, to
your
be
own.
honest.
Those are our thoughts on Evil Dead Burn. We're curious. What are your guys' thoughts? How do you feel about the movie? Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
Are you an optimist, a young optimist like Andrew, or are you a jaded, cynic old man like me?
Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.